Greetings, YouTube. The fossil fuel industry is terrified of renewable energy, solar, wind, and water. Now, I'm not a huge fan of hydroelectric power because it means damming up rivers that have a major impact on the ecologies downstream from when the river no longer flows. And I very much think that we should be allowing as many rivers as possible to run free. But we do have solar and wind is just indirect solar power because the winds are generated by solar energy from the sun. That's what creates winds. It's the temperature differences. Um, so those two are free energy if we'll just do what it takes to take it. It is being more energy and is being dumped on our planet in solar energy every second than has ever been used by the entire human species. So we have lots of solar energy available, and wind, of course, which is nice because it works around the clock, because winds don't have anything to concern themselves with whether the sun is shining or not, because the system is already in motion and the sun is shining on another part of the planet. So the wind systems keep operating, particularly in certain places, 24/7. And so I'm a big proponent for wind turbines. And frankly, I think we should have them off the east coast of America. I'll be generous, one every mile for the entire goddamn coast. We could generate so much power and it has a zero carbon footprint. So, which is awesome. But again, that terrifies the fossil fuel industry. So they are doing everything they can to convince the public that turbines are bad. Fishermen will complain about it. I don't care. I don't care if it has an impact on the fishing industry. We're overfishing the oceans already, and if that means that fishermen don't have as many jobs, they can go do something else. The fish can't go do something else. They're just fish. So maybe if we cut down the amount of fishing we do and go move more into farmed fish, which we can control, in which we could set up so that they're not going to be bothered by offshore wind turbines, we'd probably be all better off. I'm a big supporter of aquaculture. I think it's very useful, as is hydroculture. Um, uh, Hydroponics, I should say. But one of the tricks they're using is they're trying to get the ecologically minded folks on board with them to oppose wind turbines. Now, lots of people that oppose them, it's not in my backyard, the whole NIMBY thing. They don't want to see them. I think, personally, I find wind turbines incredibly attractive. If they slapped one in somewhere near me, as long as it wasn't like in danger of like hitting my house, I'd be fine. If they slapped them on the mountains, and there's a range I can see from my city, I would have no problem with it. None whatsoever. Because I find them attractive. So the whole ugly thing, that's bullshit. And if you have enough money that you don't have to concern yourself with how much electricity costs, well, that's just an example of classism, because lots of people can't afford it. It's hard to pay for that bill. And in New Hampshire, we have horrible power rates. They are incredibly expensive. So we need more power. And if that means slapping up turbines offshore or somewhere within the state, do it. Put up as many as you want. As long as the state authorizes every single one, I don't care if the people that live near it are unhappy. I really don't. Okay? I live within walking distance of a highway. Okay? That's life. If you don't want these things, I guess you can move out into the hinterlands and then complain about not having infrastructure. Some folks are never happy. But one of the tactics they've used somewhat successfully is they have tried to convince people that wind turbines are dangerous to birds. So they're touting, constantly saying that wind turbines kill X number of birds every year. It's just wiping out entire species. So here's a handy dandy little chart. This is from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Collisions from wind turbines kill 234,000 birds a year. Now that's a lot of birds. Okay, don't get me wrong. It'd be nice if they didn't get killed. However, electrocutions from power lines, 5.6 million. Sorry, there's a kitten somewhere here. Um, poison. So just the industrial wastes of our species kill 72 million birds per year. Now we could do something about that. We really could, and we should, because take my word for it, those poisons aren't just poisoning birds. We have collisions with vehicles, 214 million birds. Nobody's given up their cars, though, are they? And their trucks and their planes and their trains. No, none of us are giving up those. But the fossil fuel industry doesn't talk about that now, does it? Then we have collisions with building glass. Now, I personally have had birds hit my building, not this building, an apartment I used to live at. And the living room was built into a barn, and the window was fairly shaded. So with the right lighting, it kind of looked like there was this open, this hole in the side of the building, like, for hay or something, but it was my living room window. So if the light was just right, the birds couldn't see the glass. And I had at least 2 commit suicide on my window. Boom! And there was a bird print on my window, which I couldn't get off because it was on the 2nd floor and I wasn't about to clean it. So eventually that wears away. But yeah, nobody's taking down buildings. 600 million birds die every year from glass. But you think we should tear down all those skyscrapers? No, no one's doing that. And then there's the cats. The cats count for 2.4 billion birds. Now those are completely preventable. We should do everything we can to get feral colonies reduced, sterilized, take in the kittens, send them out for adoption, and make sure we don't put more on the streets. So we should do everything we can to humanely reduce the size and existence of feral cat colonies. But we should also make sure that pet owners keep their cats inside the damn house. I personally think it should be a law. Cats should not be allowed outside. There is no reason for cats to go outside. They kill constantly. Not for food, because they're all fat and happy, because they're hunters. And they will kill again and again and again, endangering entire species of birds. 2.4 billion birds per year, as compared to 234,000 birds per year from wind turbines. So to say that the fossil fuel industry is just a little bit disingenuous would be a vast understatement. So let's slap up some turbines and help get more renewable energy into the power grid and put up a whole hell of a lot of solar panels. And again, help get more energy in the power grid so that we can slowly wean ourselves off of fossil fuels completely. Now, there's always going to be a need for fossil fuel petroleum products, like for plastics and things, and for lubrication. There's always going to be a need. But the cost, yeah, it's just going to drop that cost down till it's like a few bucks a barrel, because it's just going to be for industrial reasons. It's not going to be fueling the economy of all the motor vehicles and all the planes. We need to transfer all of that over to electric. And one of the ways we do that is having a nice, safe, sustainable power grid. And that needs both wind and solar. And the wind turbines are a really nice way to do that. So, if you ever hear somebody talk about how many birds are killed by wind turbines, point out how many hundreds of millions of birds are killed on buildings and how many billions of birds are killed by cats that don't need to hunt. So let's start looking at this not through the eyes of fossil fuel propaganda, but through the eyes of reason, logic, and science.